Let me just go ahead and refresh the screen here so that we can see if the shipment request status is now updated to dispatched. It should happen. So here we can see the request 1032 is now marked as dispatched, meaning which the GS1 interfaces have worked correctly and everything is intact. So at this point in time, basically on the IRT side, I should be able to switch over or log in as a site user and then proceed to receive the shipment. But as I've already logged in as an admin user, I can do that from the same login. So I'll just proceed to receive the shipment that you've just, that has just been dispatched from the ICSM. So here is the shipment number that you've just seen, 8001647. And so we'll go ahead and we can see that the current status is in transit, and this is the shipment date. So we'll go ahead and try to receive the shipment within the IRT. So typically the site would be performing this transaction on the IRT. And here are the two kit numbers that we have received from the shipment. And now, the site can proceed to just simply receive the shipment, or the IRT also provides some additional workflows in case if there's any temperature excursion or if any of the kits need to be quarantined, that can be done. So let's say we proceed to quarantine one of the kits. We can mark it as quarantine and we can choose the reason for doing so. Let's say if there's a temperature excursion in one of the kits, we could select that and then continue to receive the shipment with this information. Now, in either of the cases, the GS1 interface supports all of this information to be passed on, to the other system, that's the ICSM system. So whether we are, going with receiving the shipment, just straightforward receiving, that information would be sent over to the ICSM. And in case if we are updating any of the kits as part of this, quarantine process, even that information would be included within, within the same interface and sent over to the ICSM. So all of this is kind of integrated. So here I'll just, mark it as no and continue to receive as is. So once the shipment is received, again, the IRT would be able to send over the receiving advice to the ICSM system. And here is the confirmation from the IRT side. So for a brief moment, I'll just hand it over back to Satish to see how these kits have been updated on the ICSM side.
Retained in the end-to-end supply chain process flow, the site shipment order. So I think as part of the flow, I think the medication kit is available in the clinical site. Raghu, do you want to dispense it to patient and then see what is the behavior at SAPN?
Sure, Satish, we could do that.
Please.
So I'll just move to the subject management part where we'll, try and dispense a kit to one of the subjects. So here we already have a couple of subjects enrolled into this clinical US site. So let me choose one subject here. And so we've already completed the screening and the randomization for this subject. And we also initiated a couple of visits. So we'll go ahead and initiate the next visit and then try to dispense an IP. So of course, IRT validates the visit dates here, just for the demo purposes. Let me just enter date. So once the visit is initiated, we should be able to dispense a kit to this subject. And IRT would know what is the kind of a kit depending upon the study design, the dose levels and everything. So once the kit is dispensed, IRT would be able to send that information over to the ICSM, again through the GS1 dispensing advice interface. And it would also talk about, what's the kit number that's dispensed and what's the status that needs to be updated on the ICSM system. And let me, apart from dispensing this kit, I'll also continue to mark this visit as completed, because whenever a visit is completed in the IRT, again, the IRT sends over the IRT actuals information to the ICSM. So these are some of the two trigger points where the IRT sends over the actuals to the ICSM, apart from screening and randomization. So it's at three different places, as we saw in one of the workflow diagrams presented by TD. It's at the level of screening, at the time of randomization, at the time of dispensing, and at the time of completing the visit. that the IRT actuals information is kind of sent over to the ICSM. So this kind of completes the whole workflow from the IRT side. So again, I'll stop sharing and then hand it over to Satish to see the kit status being updated on the ICSM.
We'll try to input that as a medication kit and then see what is shown here. Okay, so here I can see the status has been changed to dispensed. So let's further navigate into the reference document. So here, after the goods receipt, which has been posted, there is a subsequent document for the dispensation advice has been posted back in S4 based on the interface that got triggered from IRT here. So I will also try to navigate this to see the linkage of the medication kit at the document level as well. Yes, we do have this is the medication kit which got dispensed to the patient from the IRT system. So which is also get captured back in S4 as a process flow or through means of a material document. Also the medication kit has been read at the document level. So this ends the process in SAP S4 as well.
So here we would just like to summarize a few key important aspects from our journey of implementing GS1. So I think some of these have already been asked as questions in the chat box, so some of them might be answers to those questions. So firstly, right now from the GS1 interface perspective, they do not have a specific interface to cancel the specific interface to communicate the cancellation of shipment requests. So let's say if a shipment request after it's generated, if it gets cancelled on the IRT, there's no way to kind of communicate that back to SAP in the same way. Other way around as well. So that's one of the things that, and we've already communicated this to GS1, and I think Preeti, as he mentioned, there's an upcoming release in April from GS1, and where they're planning to include or update all of these shortcomings from the current version of the business messaging standard. So next is about the kit status code mapping, which we already talked about. So right now there are some kit status code which we typically see in clinical trials, which is kind of missing from GS1. Some of them being like statuses like retained or any other something specific to clinical trials, which GS1 doesn't support right now. And these again would be included or updated in the upcoming release in April. And I think Preeti would cover a little more about the future enhancements on the GS1 part. And then the support for non-serialized stock. Basically, if you have a bunch of non-serialized stocks within the inventory and you're trying to, let's say, just take a few of those stock units, and trying to, update their status, it's currently not possible with the GS1 interface because they do not provide the quantity option to specify the quantity while actually updating the kit statuses. So it works well for the serialized stock, but not for the non-serialized stocks. And there is another, there's kind of a silly scenario that kind of happens within the GS1 PMS standard. So let's say if for some of the bidirectional messages like kit status change, so if IRT sends over a kit status change update through the GS1 to ICSM, it sometimes can, create a cyclic dependency where ICSM again creates another request and sends that over to the IRT. So we have to come up with some measures to kind of prevent the cycling of messages, which we have in our current implementation. And the whole implementation is kind of, though it's fairly simple, but the documentation, the detail of the documentation was a little less for an IRT vendor who's trying to implement this for the first time. So some suggestions from our side for GS1 is to improve the use cases documentation and the samples that they provide, and to be able to cover or provide additional kit status codes to cover all the different scenarios, and probably a new interface to exchange the kit definition or the stock definition itself. So these are some of the learnings and suggestions that we are happy to share here with everybody from the consortium. And this whole exercise was quite interesting and quite not, informative, to have gone through this along with SAP.